I'm S W Hubbard, author of the Palmerton Estate Sale Mystery Series and the Frank Bennett Adirondack Mountain Mystery Series. And I'm here today to talk to you, give you a few tips on how to write a great blurb. The blurb is the book description copy that's on the back jacket of your book, but it's also on all the online retailers, Amazon and Barnes & Noble or whatever, and that's what helps sell your book. A good blurb has a bold-faced headline with a hook. For my recent release, I used "Never bite the hand that feeds you unless it's trying to kill you." Then your next paragraph, your first paragraph, is going to introduce your protagonist. You want to let the reader know what's unique about him or her and what makes him special, and set the scene. Is this going to take place on the gritty streets of Brooklyn, or is it going to take place in a charming little town? Next, introduce what's at stake. The crime. What is the crime that your hero or heroine has to solve? And what's the main obstacle he has to overcome? Not all his obstacles, not all the plot points, just focus in on the main obstacle that he has to overcome. Next, what will happen if he fails? What's at stake? Will an innocent person go to prison? Will more people be murdered? Will a child be put in danger? What's going to happen if he fails in his mission? And finally, at the end, pose a question or end on an open note so that the reader wants to know what's going to happen next. And how can he learn? By reading your book, right? Buying your book. So what are some traps to avoid? Avoid summarizing the entire plot. That's very boring. It's just like listening to a little kid tell you about the plot of the Little Mermaid. Your eyes are glazing over, right? Focus on the stakes. Limit yourself to 150 or 200 words. It's hard, but you can do it. Avoid naming more than 3 characters by name. Okay, so your protagonist, your main antagonist, maybe one other person. You can mention other people by their role, the husband, the boss, okay? But don't put too many names in there because it's just very confusing in a short blurb for a reader who's just skimming, right? People are skimming when they're reading your blurb. Avoid backstory. We don't need to know about his childhood. We don't need to know any of that stuff. Just enough that we can understand the blurb itself. We don't have to understand the entire book here. Okay, avoid long sentences with lots of clauses. Even if they're correctly punctuated and grammatical, it's very hard to read when you're skimming if you have a really long sentence. So you want to focus on short, punchy sentences. And of course, you want to use action verbs and the active voice. So you're not going to say something like, "She is followed by a killer." You're going to say, "A killer stalks her." Avoid long blocks of copy. You want to break your blurb up into paragraphs, okay? And every paragraph's going to end on an open loop so that the reader wants to read the next paragraph and finally gets to the end, okay? Avoid the big sales copy at the end, okay? You're not selling Ginzu knives on late night TV, okay? You're selling your novel, and if you've done a good job with your blurb, people are going to want to buy it, even without that. Buy it now, it's the best thing since James Patterson. You don't need that, okay? So I hope these tips have helped you. It's never too late to update your blurb. So even with an older book, you can look at it with a fresh eye, revise your blurb, and upload a new one to Amazon and the other resellers and sell more books.